I need rehabilitation, but I'm just not getting any. So firstly, what is rehabilitation? So rehabilitation is a set of interventions which can be multiple in nature, and it's for anyone with any limitations in their lifestyle. So it can be physical, mental, social functioning due to aging, or a health condition. It includes chronic diseases, disorders, injuries, or trauma. Rehabilitation might be needed by anyone who has problems with mobility, vision, or cognition, for example. So how many people do you know who are currently having rehabilitation? I would bet not that many. But does this mean that not that many need rehabilitation, or not that many are getting rehabilitation? Now, when I used to work at a previous physio practice, one of the things we used to do is do open evenings, and we'd do like free consultations, say in a gym or sports club or whatever. So I would create a diary and people would book in on that. But then if I had a gap in the diary, I'd go out into the gym and I'd wander around and I'd say, we're doing some free physio consultations. You got any niggles? They'd always say yes. I'm like, oh right, you having any physio? No. And then they'd come in because it was free, and then obviously we'd do a consultation. And they nearly always said yes to this question, especially the older they were. This highlights that almost everyone has a niggle that you wander around at a certain age, or even generally. But people still just put up with it and don't actually do anything with this. Now, is this because they don't get the provision? They don't get the provision and don't realize there is the provision, or is there another reason behind this? And over the world, is this a bigger problem than what I've seen obviously in my kind of context? So there was a study done where they looked at how many people in the world needed rehabilitation. They found that this number was 2.4 billion, which is 1 in 3 people in the world are in need of rehabilitation. What's amazing is in the last 30 years, this has increased by 30%. Now, it's also going to be key to note that this will be an underestimation, because this study only selected 25 different conditions, and there are hundreds and hundreds of different conditions, but obviously it picked some of the main ones. So this would definitely be an underestimation, but it's a good little ballpark figure. So what did they find was the main rehabilitation need? The number one area was musculoskeletal, which is basically conditions and disorders of the musculoskeletal system, which is muscle, tendon, ligament, bone, joint, arthritis, things of that nature, things that I see on a daily basis. And in this area, the biggest reason was lower back pain. So lower back pain was the number one on this list. And it was the number one on 160 out of 204 countries. The third largest group was neurological conditions, and the biggest in this area was stroke. And this is another thing that I see as well. I do home visits and see quite a lot of people with stroke. And guess what? They're having no intervention from the NHS. They are literally either bedbound, chairbound, hoisted, struggling on their feet, not got good balance, whatever it is. And I'm going in privately to actually help them to get going again. And one lady only a few weeks ago said to me, oh, we're doomed, aren't we, if we get a problem like this in this country, because at the end of the day we have intervention in the short term, and then once it gets to a certain point, then it stops because the funding just obviously isn't there. And this is understandable. You can't fund all of these people all the time. When you consider the need of rehabilitation being so large, the provision can't match that. And that's why people like me exist, and other people in the private sector exist, to obviously enable these people to get back to full function. So it was really interesting. The need for rehabilitation is massive, but the provision isn't as big. And most people, therefore, aren't actually getting helped. And then it comes on the individual to then seek their own intervention and help on this, which is unfortunate, but it's a reality. And that's certainly something that we are providing here at Hawks Physiotherapy. But it was a really interesting study. It shows that lower back pain is the number one, which is no surprise to me. I see more back pain than anything else under the sun. And it was really interesting to see what the stats on this show worldwide as well. So anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time.